All right, it's Fantasy Football Island. I am Tito. He is Chad Rink. We are on Fantasy Sports powered by DSP Media. You can follow me on the X at FitHappens on Twitter. He's at Chad Ocho Rinko. Make sure you download the app, the free app for Apple and Android users. Check that out. We got all kinds of new shows, great shows coming up all the time, and we're adding them. You can have it right there on your phone, and you can check out what we've got going on. Now, this is a big week for fantasy football, even though there's no football being played because we got the NFL draft coming up on Thursday. And so Chad and I are going to talk some draft tonight. We are going to discuss like where we think guys will go, where they could go, what trades could be made, things like that, and where valuable, what teams would be valuable for fantasy players if a certain player goes there. But Chad, let's start first here with, we'll talk about some of the players that change teams. And really, the wide receivers are the ones going to steal the show on this. But like, we'll talk quarterbacks first. You had Geno Smith going out there to Vegas to reunite with Pete Carroll. We had Sam Darnold to the Seahawks. We had Joe Flacco to the Browns. We've got there's no movement yet with Kirk Cousins. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. Russell Wilson, he ends up going to play for the Giants, and Justin Fields goes to the Jets. Do any of those move the needle for you?
The only one in the quarterback arena there is Fields. I think Fields is going to get every chance to be the starter there. They don't really have anybody else there. They've got talent. He gets reunited with Garrett Wilson, and he looked good in Pittsburgh in the 6 games he started. And it's always going to be one of these things now in fantasy. If you have a starting quarterback that can run the way he does, it's always going to be valuable. So it's always a good way to draft is take a chance on certain guys like that. So Fields is the only one that I am really interested in of all the quarterbacks that moved.
Yeah, and I'm looking at, there's a wide variety of them too. Some that go to a situation with not any really good receivers or weapons. Some go to ones where they have it, like, when you've got Darnold going to the Seahawks, JSN was a Pro Bowl. Well, saying Pro Bowl is kind of stupid to say because there's like 8 alternates. But anyway, he had a decent year last year. Jack Smith and Jigba did for them. They had a Cooper Kupp as well. So it's not the same weapons Darnold had in Minnesota when he had, obviously, Justin Jefferson out there. It's in, who's the other one? Jordan Addison. Yeah, the other receiver from USC. So it's not that same level of receivers, but it's still decent weapons out there for him. And that's where you got to look at it and see, we're going to figure out if Cooper Kupp is quarterback proof or not.
Exactly. We're not sure. And I'm not a big Darnold guy. I'm more of a Kevin O'Connell is a good coach and can coach quarterbacks. I think he's going to be okay. Like if you had him as a QB2, that's where I think Darnold would fall because he's going to have the job. He's got weapons there. And the first-year coach last year seemed to have a pretty good grasp of how to coach because he turned that team around. Yeah. So I don't dislike Darnold. I just don't think he's going to be putting up top 10, 12 fantasy numbers to be a QB1.
Yeah, I just don't know if I trust that the receivers, and I love JSN. I thought he was great for Ohio State. He's a really good receiver, I think. But I don't know if he can overcome Darnold. And I don't know if Kupp can anymore either because Kupp is 47 years old. He's like the George Blanda of receivers. But no, he looks older than that. But so you look at so with the Seahawks on that one, as far as the quarterbacks go, I don't want any Browns quarterback. You know what I mean? I don't want Russell Wilson. I really don't. Russell Wilson showed me nothing last year.
No.
Honestly, if Rodgers signs with the Steelers, I think after Fields, I might have most interest in Rodgers out of that group.
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised they haven't yet with what they have there because I think Rodgers, it took him a minute. If you look at the games last year, he struggled early on because I came back from Achilles. I'm still struggling from Achilles injury. I had 10 years ago. So, but he looked good the last 3-4 games of the year. He put up some decent numbers, and he's going to have all the talent there. You got with Metcalf and with Pickens, and then you got Freiermuth. Like he's going to have weapons to throw to, and those guys can get open, and he can get them the ball. So if Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, then as a Bears fan, I hate to say it, but I would have interest in drafting him.
Yes, of course you would. So now looking at some of the running backs, and no, there's no Derrick Henry, there's no, no one like Saquon Barkley changed teams in the offseason, things like that. I don't know the biggest running. I mean, Najee Harris going from Pittsburgh to the Chargers on a 1-year prove it deal. We still have Dobbins out there; he's somewhere out there still waiting to sign with somebody. But there wasn't a lot of moves that really did anything for me as far as running backs go.
No, like the Vikings re-signing Jones is fine, but like if you get talking about ones that move, like most are going to the Raiders, they're going to draft somebody, and I think really the only one that I'd look at is Javonte Williams going to Dallas because Dowdle is out, like he is in Carolina, I do believe, and so if Javonte Williams is the number one back in Dallas, then I have a lot of interest in him because he's still young, and he's got some talent. He can catch out of the backfield. So I think he's the one of the running backs that moved. I have interest in, but he's not like Henry Barkley going to be sniffing the first 2 rounds of any draft.
Now, some running back situations, though, did improve even without more running backs, just because of the fact with the offensive line moves that were made. Larry Tunsil goes to the Commanders. The Bears finally shored up their offensive line. Caleb Williams got sacked a lot last year, some of his own doing, some just because the offensive line collapsed. He played based on what he had around him and what he had to deal with as far as the offensive line. He played better than I would expect. And so this year, having a much more talented offensive line, that helps out that running game quite a bit.
Yeah, I was very pleased with what the Bears did in the offseason with that offensive line. And I think it helped Swift. And I imagine they would bring somebody else in because if Ben Johnson is going to try to mirror what he did in Detroit, they're going to have another running back there. And it's most likely going to be through the draft. But, yeah, I like that. And that's the one thing you want to look at with teams and not just look at the skill players, but go look at what teams did with the offensive line, especially with running backs and quarterbacks. Did they do stuff to improve from where they were last year? Did teams lose key offensive linemen that then could cause their running game to struggle? So those are the things you want to look at. And there's a lot of good sites out there that you can just Google that kind of stuff, and they rank offensive line. So those are the kind of things I think you want to look at if you're newer to fantasy that you may not be thinking about, and just start looking at the skill players. But you got to look at the players around that open the holes for the running backs.
That's one of those things that'll help you out in fantasy football, like Chad just said. And like if you can, that's like next level research. Don't just look at the running backs, how people have them ranked, but also look at the offensive lineman and the changes around that, and also where the quarterback's at. Was the quarterback injured last year? Is this quarterback, his second, third year as a starter, whatever it is? Yeah. Look at all those things. You're determining where you want to go as far as running backs. The biggest moves as far as the skill position play were the wide receivers. There were some huge names moved there. Devontae Adams going over to the Rams from the Jets, and until Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, then Adams demands a trade to Pittsburgh. But that's a whole other story because Alan Lazard will probably already be there in Pittsburgh waiting for him. But you had that one. You've got Diggs going over to New England. You've got DK Metcalf. We mentioned that one in Pittsburgh. You got Deebo Samuel in Washington. So that's a bunch of moves of guys that have had decent seasons in the past, but still kind of have something to prove now.
Yeah, and it's funny because you look at most of them; they're all like older receivers. But I do like most of those moves where they went. I do like the Diggs move in New England. It gives them a legit number one for Derek May. Vrabel's there, so I know he's gonna be able to use them. We talked about Kupp in Seattle. I do like the Metcalf one in Pittsburgh. If they can get a quarterback, then I think Metcalf can have a huge year. He's actually a younger one than the rest of them. But I still think he's like 27. You got DeAndre Hopkins went to Baltimore. Deebo going to Washington. So I like the Deebo one as well. I just don't know if he's going to put up. He's just not going to get the kind of targets, and that's what you're looking for with wide receivers. Are they going to get 8 to 10 targets a game? And of all the ones that moved, I like Diggs. I do. Adams is still. I like that because they like to throw the ball. So I like those two the most of all the receivers that moved to new teams.
I like Adams as a number 2 with the Rams behind Puka. I think that's a good combination there. The DK and Metcalf thing. Now you mentioned Rodgers. You and I both agree. Rodgers looked really good at the end of last season. I don't know how many games, but I think he ended up like in his last I don't know how many games it was, 9 games. So he had like 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I think decent numbers there. And so I think he still has something in the tank. But how much differently would you feel about DK Metcalf if the Steelers instead traded for Kirk Cousins? Achilles also.
Yeah, I still wouldn't mind that if they get a proven veteran that has shown that they are competent, then I have no problem with DK Metcalf. The problem I would have with Metcalf is if they just go with a rookie, or like if they would have brought in somebody like a Daniel Jones,
right?
Somebody that just hasn't really done a lot in the NFL, then I would be a little bit concerned with Metcalf. But if they bring in a veteran like Cousins or Rodgers, then I think he's going to be fine.
As long as it's not Mason Rudolph throwing to him. And by the way, as of right now, Will Levis still a starter in Tennessee. So that can also, not that Tennessee has, I think they've got some talent there, right? Ridley's still there, but Ridley's, he's not there. No. Anyway, though, so yeah, I think you're right. I think Cousins or Rodgers throwing the ball to Metcalf would be fine for me too. I don't want Rudolph, and getting a rookie in there is risky, as far as that goes. And by the way, keep an eye on the Minnesota quarterback situation too, because J.J. McCarthy still hasn't played an NFL game yet.
Yep.
And they did sign Daniel Jones. Or no, Daniel Jones is with he's with
Colts.
Stanford, the Colts now. Yeah, that's right. Daniel Jones is Colts. Anthony Richardson, that's right. That's the other one to watch. Keep an eye on that one, because you got 2 guys who have underwhelmed. One of them was paid much more than the other. So Daniel Jones can underwhelm, and he's probably got $100 bills in his sock when he plays.
Yeah.
But both these guys, though, are in a critical spot. And the Colts seem like they're going to give Richardson the benefit of the doubt to start the season, but it feels like there'll be a quick hook in Indy if Richardson struggles again.
Oh, I think so. I think with last year too, and it's with Flacco, and those types of things. So Richardson's going to have a short leash. He seems to get injured a lot with his running style as well. Mm-hmm. Jones can be serviceable, but I think this team's just going to try to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. So I'm not super excited about either of them.
What's your favorite running back coming into this year right now? If you had the number 1 pick in a redraft league,
okay,
where would you go?
I've loved them from the beginning. I think I would go Bijan,
right?
Just like Barkley. And the thing is, like, Barkley was so good last year, and we're all stupid for not realizing. Like, we were drafting Barkley early mid first when he was with the Giants, and then he moves with the best team, best offensive line. We're all like, I don't know, he's old. So we're all stupid for that. But I think Bijan, just because his age, the talent, they kind of seem like they're still using Algier, but they did not with the coaching change. I think they realized where the talent is. So I like Bijan, and just because with Breece Hall coming off the injury still. But I think those 2 are my 2 favorite just because of their age, and I know they're both in the passing game, and they'll get a huge workload.
Yep, sure will. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL draft and talk about some of the players, where they could end up going, what the best fits are some of them will be. We'll do that next. This is Fantasy Ball Island on FanStream Sports, powered by DSP.
Golfers, IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there. Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. And what is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, we're back with Fantasy Football Island. Tito and Chad with you here. Follow me on Twitter at @ThatHappens. He is at Chad Ochorinco. And I want to talk now about the draft a little bit because that comes up Thursday. And if you're in a dynasty league, it's certainly a big deal. If you're just in a traditional league where you do the draft in the late summer, it's still fun to talk about and look at some of these things. You can make trades in the offseason in some leagues if you have just like keepers, some keepers, but not full keeper leagues. So it's going to be Cam Ward to the Titans at number 1. The Miami quarterback, Tennessee said they're not trading the pick. And reports are out there that the Browns have told Travis Hunter they're going to take him at number 2. So in my opinion, the Browns should trade back, but they're going to be Browns. They're going to do what they're going to do anyway. So the intrigue starts at 3 then with the Giants. The Giants have a lot of holes. They could trade back. They could take Shedeur Sanders, but I don't think they will. They brought in Russell Wilson and also Jameis Winston. All signs point to Abdul Carter there.
Yeah, I think so. And I saw someone have an interesting, just threw out a trade. If the Lions called the Giants and gave them their first this year, their first next year, I think this year's second and next year's third, do the Giants hang up the phone? And they were talking about it. I said, no, I don't think the Giants do. And I think they would trade down if they got a haul like that. So I think they're listening. But if they're picking, Abdul Carter is going to most definitely be the pick there.
Is that who the Lions will be targeting too, you think?
I think it was a Lions podcast they're talking about it, and it would just make sense for the Lions to get another pass rusher with Hutchinson coming back. Like that, they don't need much, and they're right there. So if you get the best pass rusher to add to that team, that makes the most sense for them.
I think so too. Yeah, they're fine on offense, plenty of weapons and all that. They don't need help there. So yeah, that seems to be the thing, because if Hutchinson doesn't get hurt last year, they could very well be the Super Bowl team, be the one representing. So New England Patriots in at 4. And, by that point, like those are the first 3 players off the board, the top 3, it looks like, because I don't, obviously he's not going to go for Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. But like at 4 and 5, New England and Jacksonville, they've got to hope somebody likes Shedeur a lot or likes one of the running backs a lot and wants to move up. But otherwise, I think New England just goes, they build the trenches with Vrabel. They go offensive line, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Will Compton or one of the other offensive linemen will go there. And I think they will listen to trades because I think this draft is weird. I don't think there's that one or two like future Hall of Famers in this draft. I think this draft is deep. Like, I think it's pretty good once you get anywhere from like 20 to 40. I think you can get some really good players. So if you have multiple seconds, it could work out for you rather than trading up. But yeah, I think New England just tries to take, hey, let's take the best offensive lineman if they don't get a trade. And I don't think people are going to trade up for either Sanders or Dart because I think they realize that fall. Like I think the only one that might do it would be someone to trade up to get Genty. But I think people are smart and realize, like, as good as Genty is, like there's some quality running backs here as well that you can get a good one in the second round.
Sure. And there's been talk about Genty going 5 to Jacksonville. Yeah. Jacksonville has needs on the defensive line, though. They certainly have big-time needs there. You got the kid from Michigan, Mason Graham, who might be the one they target there. But if they use their leverage, like I say, there's been rumors going around they might be looking at Genty, and Jacksonville could very well have started those rumors. The same way I think the Texans started the C.J. Stroud rumors about his Wonderlic 2 years ago. So I think, though, that if they can get somebody who wants to move up, Jacksonville's got enough ways to need for plugging in guys that they might trade it for a haul. Other than that, Genty. Then if the Raiders, I can't figure out. And even though Al Davis is gone, Davis is still there. It's still a Davis in charge over there. Right. Maybe Brady will be able to talk him out of making a dumb move like drafting Sanders, but Sanders to Vegas just feels like it's going to happen. Not because it's a great football move, just because it's a great reality TV move, maybe.
Yeah, it would be. I still think if they were smart, they would go Genty or take one of the receivers there, and then maybe trade back up in the back end of the first round to get Sanders there. I think Sanders at 6 is way too early, but I think they go skill player. I think they take a running back or a receiver at 6 to try to, build that offense. Cause like you said, they have a lot of holes everywhere.
And, the thing is, if you're going to draft a running back, you better make sure your offensive line is decent.
Yeah.
Because, and I know that sometimes a great running back can make an average offensive line look better than it is. But by the same token, if you're investing in a running back, we know they have a short shelf life. Not a lot of Curtis Martins running around there, guys, or Eddie George, guys that have 10 years of these great seasons. Right. And so if you're going to draft it, you better have a lot of confidence in your offensive line that he's not going to get destroyed in that first year. So, I'm with you on that. The Raiders, I think they'll make a splash move because they're the Raiders. That's what they're going to do. The Jets, then, they've got some needs as well along the offensive line. I think I would expect them to go there unless they go with one of the tight ends, right?
Yeah, I keep seeing that. I've seen mocks that have both tight ends going in the top 10. I think you'll get one in the top 10, and the Jets could use one. That would just give another weapon, and both Warren and
Loveland,
are both, I think, top end tight ends. I'm afraid my Bears may go tight end. And here's the thing, though. I don't think it's ever been said by anybody in the history of the NFL, this team is a one tight end away from winning it all. No one's ever said that. So I think you just look at the history. Bowers is good, Laporte is good, but they're not difference makers that's gonna put you over the top is a tight end. So I think drafting a tight end in the top 10 is just a ridiculous move. So the Bears will end up doing it.
If either one of those tight ends go in the top 10, usually your first call would be to somebody like one of your friends or something, or maybe it's your first call should be to Brock Bowers and thank him and give him 5% of your salary. Because if Bowers has a shit year like he did, instead if Bowers is Kyle Pitts, or Kyle Brady for that matter,
right?
They don't get drafted this high.
No, Bowers and Laporta had a good rookie year too, and he was drafted up there. So those two have been huge for tight ends. So it's crazy.
After that, you got the Panthers at 8 and Saints at 9. There's been a lot of the Panthers. Look, I know they need defense, but if I'm the Panthers, I take the best wide receiver on the board.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think surprisingly, Bryce Young once he got reinstated as the
Yeah.
starter, looked good. Like
He did.
He actually looked good. I thought he was after his rookie year, and then just beginning of last year, like this guy is just not good. But he put up some good fantasy type numbers, and he didn't really have a receiver. So yeah, I think you have to go. And I think if I'm a team, I Ohio State receivers never, hardly ever fail. So, I think Mbuka is who I would take if I was was taking a receiver this draft.
And if you like Ibuka, you could trade down and get him too if you're the Panthers. You know what I mean? You get some other ammunition there. Then the Saints, Jadarius Sanders has been linked to the Saints quite a bit, mainly because, well, one, they need a quarterback, and because Derek Carr, they don't love him, and they love him even less now that he might not play this year. And so if Sanders falls past the Saints, or if the Saints trade out because somebody else loves Sanders, but Sanders is due for a fall then after that. There's not a lot of teams there, unless somebody loves him much, want to trade up for him. But in all likelihood, those Sanders could fall quite a bit if the Saints don't take him at 9.
Yeah, the Saints are the interesting spot because, Cam Moore's going top 10, and then I don't think anyone's going to move up. And so if the Saints decide whether Sanders or Jackson Dart, or even if they like Milrose, but they could trade down. But like if they take Dart or Sanders at 9, but if they don't, then I think it's going to be a free fall until a team decides to trade up to get one of them. And I think both of them go in the first round. I think teams. It's just one of those things. It's the NFL. Everyone overvalues quarterbacks at this time of year, so teams are going to reach for them. But I don't mind if you're getting Sanders or Dart in 20 to 32. Like that's not a bad risk.
I agree
at that point if you're not giving up too much. And I still even think Milrose, some team could slide up, like the Browns could. I think
sneak back up.
Yeah, because like they have the first pick in the second round, so that's always a pick if you have that. Teams don't mind sliding out of the first round to get that one. And then I believe Seattle has 2 second-round picks.
They got one from Pittsburgh in the Metcalf deal.
Yeah, and I think they're right in the middle there, right almost back-to-back. So they could kind of maybe use both to get back up in there as well if they decide they want to go to get somebody because they don't trust Darnold. But
so then you go to your Bears and the 49ers, the next 2 picks. And I've seen running back mocked to the Bears. I've seen edge rushers, defensive linemen also mocked to the Bears. I think they're probably going to go defense, but if Hampton or TreVeyon Henderson would not be bad fits on that team.
No, and as I love Genty, but I do like Henderson a lot. Being up here in Columbus, watching the Buckeyes a lot, I like him. So I've always said if you're in the top 10. What you really just need to do is don't worry so much about what your need is and just go draft the best player because talent's going to win out most of the time.
Yeah.
So I as much as I'd love to have Genty there, I would rather the Bears trade down out of that or just take the best D lineman. And then we've got 2 second-round picks and then go get one of those running backs, either Buckeye running back or if Hampton. I don't think he goes in the first round. I think
starting to slide.
Yeah, I think most teams aren't really that running back in need. And we've seen over the last 5-10 years, like running backs just aren't valued as much in the first round. So I think Genty's the only one. So I would like the Bears to do that. I wouldn't even mind them going and grabbing another offensive lineman either, because you can never have enough offensive linemen. And some of the guys we got in the free agency are on the older side, so I wouldn't mind getting one of the top 2 or 3 tackles.
The 49ers, I've heard they might move up, they might move back. You never know with Shanahan and the 49ers what they're going to do over there. But they are also a team that they've got. I'm not saying they'd make a move for a running back or grab, but CMC, he's at that point in his career where he may have started looking elsewhere on that one. But in all likelihood, I think they'll try to shore up probably in the trenches.
Yeah, I think so, because I think Shanahan's a pretty good coach, and then you got Lynch there, so they've done pretty well in the draft. So I think they realize how deep the receiver class is. So I think they'll just draft the receiver in the second round, and like you said, get either O line or D line. in this draft.
I think later on, by the way, I think in the third, fourth round area, I think the 49ers will take a swing at a quarterback just to have leverage with Purdy.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll do that. So then you got Dallas and Miami, and Dallas is a polarizing team because, well, Jerry Jones came out and said that he's had talks about a couple of substantial deals or deals with substance, one or the other. It's the same meaning no matter what. But anyway, a couple of deals, though, that would be big. He didn't say if they were going up or down to make the deals or what they would do. But if the Cowboys draft a running back, I want that running back.
Yes. Even though Javonte Williams is there, if they get a running back in the top half of the draft, that's who you want. Because number one, it's going to be either Genty or Hampton, and the two top running backs. And Dallas has shown they will just run that guy all the time. And they usually get him involved in the passing game as well. So yes, if Dallas gets a running back, if they take a running back in the first round, then I think that running back is going to be my Animotion player in
the obsession.
Yes, like, I will have you. Yes, I will have you. I will find a way, and I will have you.
Right.
That's who you want. I know they're linked also to Matthew Golden,
right,
as well, or one of the receivers. I imagine that's what Dallas does. Dallas will. Unless whatever deal they got going on, but I think they'll take a running back, especially if Genty is there, or they'll trade up for Genty, or they'll just take one of the receivers.
Yeah, one of the receivers. I think that's probably their game plan there. Get Ted McMillan if they want. McMillan's the kind of guy Dallas would draft. The one they still, they still get chided for passing on Randy Moss, and I'm not saying Ted McMillan's Randy Moss, but he's big guy, fast, a physical. I'm not saying he's on the same level, but I think that Jerry Jones would go back and take a Randy Moss type player who tests really well and looks really good in the uniform.
Yeah. Well, plus McMillan goes there. He's the number 2 with Lamb, and Lamb's going to get all the attention. So McMillan's going to have a ton of one-on-ones in man coverage. So I like whatever receiver would go there as well.
Dolphins at 13, they're going to go defense, I think, so we probably don't need to talk about that too much. 14, Indianapolis. Tyler Warren's been linked there quite a bit. The Colts saying they need to get trying to get Brock Bowers 2.0 and hoping that will help their young quarterback, Anthony Richardson, or their old young quarterback also in Daniel Jones. But he's somebody, if Warren goes into that range right there, I'd be okay. I would not use a top 10 pick, though, on a tight end.
No, I wouldn't. And if you're looking because we're talking most of these rookies that we're going to be talking about, and the next couple of shows are going to probably be on rookie drafts for dynasties. If you have a late first round pick, that's where I would look with either Warren or Loveland drafting, because I think the top end of all rookie drafts are going to just be running backs, receivers. I don't think any of the quarterbacks are going in rookie drafts in the first round unless it's a super flex. So I have no problem in a dynasty rookie draft drafting Warren or Loveland, no matter where they go. I think in the end of the first round.
Atlanta's at 15 and Cincinnati's at 17. Unless they make trades, both those teams desperately need defensive help. The Bengals have locked up all their money in the 3 players and they're figuring out the Trey Hendrickson thing, but they'll probably have to go with an inside interior rusher, edge rusher, something like that to help with them. But right between those two, Arizona. And there's some talk about Arizona going receiver to give Marvin Harrison Jr. some help on that one. Also give another weapon out there for the Arizona offense to use. And I don't know. I mean, Kyler Murray, I don't want to say he got a bad rap, but certainly there was a lot of bad things said about him, about not studying or not putting the work in. They wanted to have these clauses in there. Not sure what part of that is all true, but it wouldn't hurt Marvin Harrison Jr. if the Cardinals went wide receiver.
No, and I know they did get Zay Jones in free agency, but he's not that. He helps, and they've got McBride there. But yeah, I think that's what you would go if you're the Cardinals. Why not give Murray as many weapons and then see what he is? Because you'll have to make a decision, because I doubt if he has another year like he has the last couple that you're going to want to re-sign him long term. So then you're going to have to go look at another quarterback, and you might as well, if you're going to go get a quarterback in a year or two, you might as well have as many young weapons could you imagine like they get Tet or Luther Burden
or Buka.
If Buka, like you get a Buka there
with Harrison,
then you might as well just go draft
Will Howard.
Exactly, or McCord. Draft McCord, I guess too.
McCord's the element too. Yeah, you're right.
But like, could you imagine having Harrison, one of these top end receivers, and McBride, and then bring in a rookie quarterback like there's this Manning kid that seems to be all right. So that could be something too. So I think that's what I think the Cardinals should probably do, is get Murray more help.
Seahawks are at 18. They don't have great running backs, but they've got decent running back depth, which is a little bit different. They got a couple guys that they could eat. I don't think they're looking there. Wide receiver, I would have thought so before they signed Cup, but I don't know if they need to do that now. I think they've got other needs in the trenches.
Yeah, they could maybe want to go tight end if one of those guys are there, but I think they're probably looking like, let's just go get, like you said, a trench guy, or maybe get some secondary help. There's some good safeties in the early part of this draft. So that's probably what I would expect them to do as well.
Tampa's at 19, and they've got Evans. They got Godwin coming back from the injury. Bucky Irving emerged. Baker Mayfield is still rubbing Cleveland's face in it. So they'll probably go defense. Then you've got the Broncos, and the guy who's been linked to the Broncos more than anybody in every mock draft is Hampton out of North Carolina. I like Hampton's size. I think he's a damn good back. I think Henderson's the second best back in this draft, but it feels like it's Hampton or another running back going to the Broncos.
Yeah, especially losing Williams. And Estime just wasn't. I don't think he's it. So I would see that would be the one. I think if Hampton goes in the first round, it would be there to Denver. I don't think Denver moves up to get a running backs. I think they just wait and see who's there. And I think Hampton will be there, and I imagine that's where they'll go.
Pittsburgh at 21 is an interesting spot because they've been linked to quarterbacks also. There's been a lot of people who have said if Sanders falls there, if he's open there, if he's there at 21, the Steelers are going to take him. There's also been talk about Jackson Dart going at 21. And the interesting thing is the Steelers' defense is getting so old. And I don't know if they already know about Rodgers. If they know, if Rodgers has given them a wink, wink, yeah, we'll sign later kind of thing. Or if Rodgers said, I want to wait and see how the draft goes, see if you draft somebody, that kind of thing. So I don't know exactly what they know about the Rodgers thing, but the last time the Steelers drafted a running back in the first round, it did not pan out with Najee. Underwhelmed. Same thing with Kenny Pickett. When they drafted a quarterback, it underwhelmed in the first round. So although I'd love to see Pittsburgh grab a running back here if there's a great one available, they don't have a second-round pick. They can wait, but they got to get a quarterback at some point in this draft no matter what happens. I don't know if it'll be at 21 or not, though. I get the feeling they're going to go defense.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where at this point, like I said earlier, I don't think there's these Hall of Fame type guys. I think there's quality guys. So if you get a decent defensive guy, great. But, at that point, why not? Especially even if Rodgers is coming in, if you get Sanders or Dart to sit behind Rodgers for a year. And I think they're coming in a better situation than Pickett did. Like, you've got Metcalf and Pickens and Freiermuth. So I think Sanders could thrive there as well. But that's that weird, like I saw someone talking about today that there's the NFL draft Bermuda Triangle, and it's right at that 19, 20, 21 where there's the Henry Ruggses, all
right.
These like the Jalen Rieger, like guys that get picked that just don't pan out, and then like a pick or two later is a stud that they passed on. So that's in that we'll see what happens this year. But if I'm the Steelers, I think you kind of have to take a chance if Dart or Sanders is there, given what you have in your quarterback room currently.
The Chargers are up next, and look, if Loveland's still on the board, Harbaugh's taking him.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yes.
That's going to happen if he's still available. If not, we don't know. If not, the Chargers might trade back, or they might try. We'll see what they want to do with that one. But Harbaugh loves to have a good tight end in there. It's always been, and as he did obviously with Loveland when he was at Michigan. Green Bay's up next. I've seen Ibuka linked to them as well, but I get the feeling they're probably going to go defense. But I've seen Ibuka linked. That'd be a fun little pairing out there though too.
Yeah, I keep seeing that. But the Packers haven't drafted I don't think they ever drafted a first round receiver for the entire time Rodgers was there.
They never did, yeah.
And if you look they've got like a very young kind of studly receiving group with Reed and Watson and Wicks, and they've got 2 stud tight ends. So I really don't see why they would go wide receiver here and just try to shore up, like you said, on the defensive end instead.
If they do, it's just because they're trying to piss Rodgers off. That's all it is. It's petty. Yes. It's just petty. That's all it is. Vikings are up next then. And look, they've got all the wide receivers they need. They seem pretty set at running back. They've already said they believe in J.J. McCarthy. So they're either going to go offensive line or they're going to go somewhere in the defense, I have to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you get down here, most of these teams, these are the better teams. So they're just trying to find depth, or if they lost a piece, trying to replace that. So most of these, I don't think, are going to be skill players. If they are, they're probably not going to make a huge impact.
Right. But it is around the range, though, you'll start to see teams try to trade up into the first round to get a quarterback or running back or receiver they really desire, because the Texans, after losing Tunsil, they've got to go probably offensive line, I would think, but they're a candidate to trade back as well.
Right.
The Rams, I don't think they go quarterback here. I think that McVay is confident enough that he can get a quarterback in the second or third round or whatever, or fourth round even, and make it work.
Yeah, I think too, with Stafford, I think they figure he's got another year. I don't think these quarterbacks this year are that great. So why reach for one in the first round? Let's just build elsewhere. And then I know they don't think this, but if Stafford were somehow get injured for the whole year, whoever they bring in is going to suck. And so they'll be bad, and they'll just be able to draft the quarterback next year when the class is better. So I would be very surprised if they went quarterback, and I think they just go for one of the trenches or just shore up some sort of on the defense.
Ravens, they're not going to look at skill players unless Loveland falls there, which there's no way in hell he does. But if Loveland fell there, they could use a tight end because Andrews is on borrowed time anyway.
Yeah.
The Lions are after that, and as much as I expect, I think the Lions will try to go defense. If there's a solid one out there still, they need to complement that because they don't. Yeah. The offensive line, maybe they look at that, but they really do need a stud edge rusher.
They do, and I know Hutchinson coming back. They got burnt with Hutchinson getting hurt and Branch getting hurt as well. So I don't think the defense was as bad as it was. But if there is a top end edge rusher and you can pair him with Hutchinson, why wouldn't you do that? So
yeah. Commanders, they've already shored up their offensive line and their skill players with the Samuel addition. They've got the quarterback in place. Their running game's okay as well. So they in all likelihood will look to trade back or go defense. I wouldn't think they would grab any kind of skill player. The Bills after that, and the Bills do need help on defense. I think Amari Cooper wasn't good for them last year when they brought him over. He very much underperformed. James Cook is he's trying to get a contract extension. Don't know if he'll get it or not. He's trying to get a contract from the Bills on that one, but I don't think they'll panic and go running back here. They're all likely going to go in the trenches or maybe a defensive back there.
Yeah, I know we talked about it where Cooper wasn't that good. Coleman was a little bit underwhelming last year as a rookie. But I think they still made the playoffs and were one of the best teams in the NFL. So I think that's what they do. They're just going to, again, trade down. If someone wants to trade up, get more draft picks in that second round where you can really get some quality guys, or just get, the best player available that fills a need.
Last two picks are Kansas City and Philadelphia. Neither one really need a receiver, but this feels like if they keep their picks, at least one of them is going to take a receiver.
Yeah, because you got to remember, Kansas City is going to get Rice back this year. Worthy was okay, but Worthy's just going to be more of try to take the top off the defense down the field. So I doubt either the tight ends is going to fall here.
Right.
But if they did, they would jump on either one to replace Kelsey. So Kansas City always seems to draft a receiver here or trade out. And then any receiver that goes to Kansas City, I'm always going to have some interest in and hope they turn out okay.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got Philadelphia there at the last pick, and you never know with Philadelphia. Look, they could be Wizards and trade up and grab somebody. They could be Wizards and trade back and get somebody really good. They're pretty set at receiver, though. Obviously, you got Saquon coming back again. They lost some people in the trenches a little bit. They might try to replenish that. Maybe go out there and get like a defensive lineman or something like that. But look. I don't think the Chiefs or Eagles make their picks there.
I'd be surprised if they did. They're going to trade out, and if they do, it's not going to be, even if it's a skill player. Those, especially for the Eagles, that skill player is not going to be any relevant in fantasy, which is what we're talking about. So, I think that once we get to that, like you said, the last 10 picks, it's just what teams are trading up, and most of the time, it's going to be for a skill player. So those are the ones you're going to watch, because if a team trades up for a guy, gives up that kind of draft capital, then they're going to use him as much as possible.
Rick, this was fun, buddy. We got the draft come up Thursday. We'll reconvene until after that, maybe. I don't know if we'll do a Friday one or not. We'll see. But we'll definitely touch base about how the draft's going and where these guys go. We'll have a better understanding, certainly by the end of the weekend, on which guys were winners, which teams were winners, and which were losers. So follow him on the X, on Twitter, at Chad Ochorinco. I am at That Happens. There it is right there. There you got it there. I know it's weird with the camera thing. Anyway. But subscribe to the podcast here, and also make sure you download the app. It's free, Apple and Android users. And we will talk to you again soon. This has been Fantasy Ball Island on Fantasy Sports, powered by DSP Media.